I love fishing pits, especially at this time of the year, with carp, tench, bream and other species all on the munch. I've been to work today. In fact, I've still got a football shirt on underneath there, a pair of shorts. That's the great thing about my job. I don't work in a suit and tie. I can put some fishing clothes on afterwards, rods and other gear in the car, straight down here after work. It's been raining for about 3 days, pretty much non-stop, mostly drizzle, but nevertheless persistent drizzle coming down. And so you can imagine the rivers. I've been over the Severn a couple of times today. That's right at the top of the banks and just about spilling over into the fields. It's cold. We've barely been out of single figures. Remember, we are in the middle of June, and I'll give you an idea of how cold it's been. I got up this morning 5:30, well 6:30, I was ready to go, and I got some ground bait that was frozen. I'd used it from a previous session, put it in my bait freezer, so I took it to work with me in the back of the car. That's been on a car park all day, out in the open. I get here tonight at the end of the working day and it's still frozen. I tell you, that is cold for June. So challenging conditions this evening and throughout the night, but I'm a firm believer that as long as your bait's in the water, you've got a chance. As you can no doubt hear, it's raining. It's been raining quite heavily for about 2 hours now. We are in dark. Obviously I've got my head torch. I've got my head torch in one hand and my iPhone in the other, and I'm waiting for the alarm to go off to let me know that I've got a fish on the end of the line. That's the plan anyway. And the baits are out, the rods have been cast, well they were quite some time ago, and the waiting game begins. Not every angler's cup of tea, but that's a great thing about fishing. It can be to each and every one of us what we want it to be, and I love this type of fishing. I did blank on the pit. I got wet net, but unfortunately that was due to the heavy rain that came right through the session. Anyway, back home, a working day from home today, and then down to a local lake just for half an hour or so, mini jigging, as you can see there, just a tiny, that's a 1 gram jig head and a little rubber minnow. I'll adjust that in a moment or two so it's a bit more natural coming through the water, and hopefully I can get a fish on the bank this time round. At last, a fish. I'll tell you all about that in a moment or two when I put it back, but for now it's a lively one, and that's why you always kneel down, of course, when you show a fish to the camera or the camcorder or whatever you've got. It's a pike. That fish has now gone back. Prior to that, in this very short session, I lost a pike, a couple of perch and a carp. The latter straightened the hook. It could have been foul hooked, of course, but it did clear the water a couple of times and it looked like it was hooked fair and square to me. Anyway, I didn't get the chance to find out, but by perseverance I eventually got a fish on the bank.